Could one human killing another have set off humanity's first war? To understand that, we have to go back before war even existed. Early humans usually lived in relatively small, closely connected groups. Survival depended heavily on cooperation between group members. Hunting was easier when several people could work together. A successful hunt could provide food for the entire group, but not every human group belonged to the same social circle. And sometimes, different groups could depend on the same resources. When the same resource mattered to both groups, tension could begin. And sometimes, a disagreement could become something much more serious. But how could we possibly know that? Prehistoric humans fought each other? The first clues can come from injuries preserved inside ancient human bones. A healed injury means the person survived the original violent event. But another injury can reveal something even more interesting about their final days. An unhealed injury suggests it happened shortly before that person's death. Now imagine researchers discovering similar evidence across many different people. Suddenly, one strange injury becomes part of a much bigger pattern. And sometimes, stone projectile points are found associated with those injuries. Scientists then compare bones, weapons, locations, and burial patterns together. That is how scientists can identify repeated interpersonal violence without witness. But evidence can show violence without explaining exactly why it began. One possible pressure was simple. Sometimes, there was not enough food. Now two groups could depend on the same hunting ground, and suddenly, cooperation between strangers became much more difficult. The simplest disagreement could begin with something as basic as food. At first, the conflict might only involve threats, shouting, or pushing. Then someone could reach for the simplest weapon available, a stick. A tool made for survival could suddenly become useful during conflict, and people could learn from what happened during that fight. A stronger stick might offer better protection than an ordinary branch. Humans already knew how to shape wood for hunting and daily survival. So improving a hunting tool could also improve its defensive usefulness. The same spear could help hunt animals and protect the hunter. Then stone technology offered humans something even more useful: sharp edges. A sharp stone point could make a wooden weapon far more effective. But this still does not mean humans invented war. A weapon becomes part of warfare only when people organize around conflict. And organization becomes easier when people already depend on one another. Shared food, shelter, hunting, and protection gradually created stronger social bonds. But scientists found a remarkable clue at an ancient cemetery called Jebel Sahaba. Researchers found evidence of repeated injuries among many individuals.
Some individuals showed signs of earlier injuries that had already healed.
This earlier fracture shows complete healing. However, this second injury proved fatal. Let's map out these latest discoveries. Each marker reveals a story. Point symbols align perfectly. If we look back at the timeline of human conflict, we find that it goes back to our very earliest days. So what might one of those encounters have looked like? Imagine two small groups arriving at the same valuable water source. Neither group wants to leave, and a disagreement quickly begins. Then one person reaches for a simple tool to protect himself.
Repeated encounters could eventually require people to organize, coordinate, and choose leaders.
But thousands of years later, warfare leaves much clearer archaeological evidence. Settlements grew larger, and defending territory became increasingly important. Now societies could organize soldiers, weapons, supplies, and commanders. By the Bronze Age, organized armies were fighting over power and territory.
One famous example was the Battle of Kadesh, around 1274 BC.
Egyptian forces under Ramesses II marched toward the city. They encountered the Hittite army, led by King Muwatalli II. The battle involved thousands of soldiers, chariots, strategy, and military organization. Unlike prehistoric conflicts, this war left written and visual records. The warfare did not suddenly appear. It gradually became more organized and documented. By now, war was no longer a sudden fight between small groups. Armies needed commanders who could coordinate hundreds or thousands of people. Soldiers also had to follow formations instead of fighting individually. And armies needed food, water, weapons, transport, and constant supplies. War, therefore, began depending on workers who never entered the battlefield. Rulers could now collect resources and use them to support armies. This also changed what leadership meant. Leaders were no longer deciding only where their group should hunt.
They could now decide where armies marched, attacked, defended, or retreated.
And fortified settlements gave warfare another important target: cities.
And this gives us the bigger story of how warfare developed.
A conflict could now last much longer than a single confrontation. Archaeologists can reconstruct parts of these systems from surviving evidence. Messages became essential. Commanders could not control everything themselves. Weapons reveal technology, while fortifications reveal how people expected attacks. Written records can then add names, places, rulers, and military events. And this gives us the bigger story of how warfare developed. Scarcity created pressure, technology created weapons, and cooperation created organized groups. War was therefore less an invention than a gradual transformation of human conflict. Humans did not invent war overnight. They gradually learned how to organize conflict.